I'm kind of talked out on the Brian Johnson to blame or not to blame conversation. I just want to see the Eagles back to win. But just because I'm talked out does not mean the conversation is over. The great coach Dale Carlson will join us at 8:30 this morning in about 30 minutes to talk from a coach's perspective of what we've been talking about for the last week or so with the Eagles offense. Trending in the AM, talking all things Eagles, football, those just we're talking live and taking your thoughts and opinions in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube. You know the drill. Hit those like, share, subscribe buttons. Tell a friend, knock on the neighbor's door, shout it down the street. Everybody needs to tune in. Trending in the AM, not just this morning, but every single day. The number one morning sports show here in the Philadelphia area. There's no doubt about it. And if you're doubting it, I don't know what to tell you. Good morning, all. I am Phil Stiefel, your host, as always, every morning here. You can find me on all social media platforms at Bearded Knowledge. If I'm on it, that is my tagline. There's never a doubt about it. Yes, the new intro. Now just like the hard reset, you're gonna point it out every single day, even though it's no longer a new intro since it's been 2 weeks since I've been using it. Just so you know, it's not actually new at this moment anymore. The newness is over. It's gone. Peace out. I even changed the outro. I don't know if you noticed that. That's been changed too. But you didn't notice the outro. No one ever pays attention to the outro. But anyway, guys, we got lots on the agenda today. Like I said in the cold open, got Coach Dale Carlson joined us. He's been on this show plenty of times. Always imparts great offensive knowledge and great coaching perspective to everything going on with our Eagles. So we will talk with him in just a little bit and try to get his perspective on what we've been battling about all week, which is who's to blame, Brian Johnson and his play calling, Nick Sirianni and his ideas, or the players. I'm nauseated or bored or tired of talking about it, honestly, at this point. Because really, when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. The Eagles just have to be a better organization, a better team, a better everybody from coaches to players needs to be better after the last 2 weeks. And we really, really are hoping and feeling that this week they'll turn things around, etc. But it's obviously not an easy task that's in front of them on Monday night. I just wish we had more Sunday games because today, again, another Friday, and I feel like my weekend's thrown off again because I got to wait till Monday for this game. I hate it. Can we get some 1 o'clock games on Sunday again, please? But anyway, that's just me personally. I just don't. It's not an easy task in front of them, but I don't think the Eagles are taking this lightly. I think the Eagles know as a whole that they have problems. I think the Eagles know at the root of it that this week is an extremely, extremely tough matchup for them. I think they know the numbers. We haven't beaten Seattle since 2008. We're going to Seattle, one of the toughest cities to play. And I don't care how good or bad the Seahawks are any given year, going to Seattle is always, always a struggle. They're 6-7 this year, but I think they're 5-2 at home. I think they realize it. And the first reason why I think that they realize the importance of this game is because you see from the reports yesterday from all the beat reporters down at the NovaCare, back to padded practice on day one of the week. Normally Wednesday is a walkthrough, Thursday is a practice, Friday's a walkthrough or a practice. Well, now with Monday night, so first practice was Thursday, not Wednesday this week. And they practiced full in pads yesterday. I could probably count on one hand the amount of times Nick Sirianni has run a padded practice the first day of the week of practices in his entire tenure here. He doesn't believe in it. So I think they realize this importance right now. What's up, Eric? Good morning. Bald head. It's not bald completely. It's just very tight. I went and got a professional cut and trim up done yesterday instead of doing it myself. We're definitely going to beat the Seahawks. Salute to the tenacious 12. I think we will beat the Seahawks, but I'm not saying I'm confident. We are twins. We are not twins. You don't got nothing on these looks right here. You don't got these bags under your eyes either. I'm the only one. I got the biggest bags under my eyes in the business, for sure. Greg Cassell and Clay Harbor agree about the lack of pre-snap motion. Well, yes. Okay. So I know the pre-snap motion thing is something that everybody is keying in on right now. That's like the new thing in the last day or two. That's kind of, as everybody keeps saying that maybe the players got to execute more. Well, then the play calling versus execution. Now they're throwing in the pre-snap motion. Sure, league average. I don't remember the exact number. League average is right around like 55%. And I think the Eagles are running pre-snap motion like in the low 30 percentile. Sure, I'd like to see it. Sure, it would make some of the other plays more effective. Again, though, the pre-snap motion doesn't stop the drops and the fumbles. Maybe it makes things a little easier. Sure. I do know that our defense has struggled for years with teams that run excessive pre-snap motion. So sure, I would like to see a little bit of pre-snap motion. Sure. But again, the players still got to execute it. We ran pre-snap motion one play a couple of weeks ago, and A.J. Brown clobbered DeAndre Swift in the backfield. So just calling a play does not matter. The play's got to be executed properly. Beard is back. The beard is always here. Don't you worry about that. Why didn't Raiders set record? Dude, that Raiders Chargers game last night, I don't even know if I want to get into that at all today. But man, 42-0 at halftime. God damn. Chargers. If Brandon Staley is still the head coach by the end of the day in Las Vegas, then I don't know what they're doing with their Las Vegas, in Los Angeles. I don't know what they're doing in that organization. Embarrassing. I know Justin Herbert got hurt, but come on now. Losing 63-21 to the Raiders. It's pathetic. Good morning, John. How you doing? Eagles will win Monday night. I don't understand why we got away from the RPOs. Well, I think a lot of the RPO issues are the banged up knee of Jalen Hurts. He can't be as effective in that play. He's been a little bit more hesitant in making the reads, hence the botched handoffs sometimes. There's a lot of issues there that are causing the RPO. And once you take we always said we don't want to take the running game away from Jalen Hurts because you don't want to take away what makes him great. Well, it's been taken away from him sort of because of the injury. Isn't it a bit early for the ugly sweater contest? I love this shirt. I wear this at least once a week during the Christmas season to the pizza shop. My Oscar the Grouch Bah Humbug t-shirt. I love this. I've only rocked the ugly sweater. I've got a Mike Scott Hive. If you remember the Scott Hive, I got a Mike Scott Hive ugly Christmas sweater. And it's an actual sweater. I wear that only like once or twice per season. But the Bah Humbug, Oscar the Grouch, has to go at least 1 or 2 times a week, always to the pizza shop. Go Birds. Adam, good morning. How you doing today? Yeah, the Chargers should have stayed in San Diego. I saw somebody tweeting out that it was like karma on them last night for leaving San Diego. But man, tough man. That cornerback Michael Jordan interception was. I was watching some of the game, but not all of it. You know me and Thursday Night Football. What's up, Mitchie Pooh? How you doing? Good morning. Hope you're well on this beautiful Friday. Here we go again with the banged up knee, but Brian calls more quarterback draws. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that too, Marshawn. But I also think some of those quarterback draws, and this is just me, I'm no expert, but I think some of those quarterback draws are audibles called at the line of scrimmage. That's how I'm seeing it. But again, I'm no expert. Um, Some of them, not all of them. Some of them are called, but it seems like some of them are. There was one with where a few weeks ago where you see Jalen Hurts audible to a draw at the line of scrimmage. Kelsey tries to shake him off, and Hurts says, "No, we're doing it." So, and it was a quarterback draw. So I think some of them are called at the line of scrimmage. Good morning, Travis. We executed last year. Jalen want to say change the game plan and copy Shane second. Where's the RPOs? Running back screens are a big thing we don't do for sure. Three-step drops, that's something I want to see more of. An obvious Watkins, Julio, Zacchaeus. Yeah, the lack of an attempt to even get the other guys involved. You see that big catch from Lamade Zacchaeus a few weeks ago in the back of the end zone. Great play. He didn't have a target the last 2 weeks. Quez Watkins, we're not big Quez Watkins fans anymore in this city, but not even attempt to throw it his way. I think it's been 3 weeks since Julio Jones has even seen a target. So we all want to run the ball more, but yet we're also not getting the ball into anybody's hands, not named Julio or AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. It's almost something I want to save this topic and bring it up when Coach Carlson joins us. But the RPO is also effective if you use the quarterback run option sparingly anyway. Yeah, it's just hard to use it effectively when you've got a banged up knee, when your quarterback's doubting everything. Because I think there's, you know, Jalen Hurts ran the RPO so effectively last year. We didn't have so many handoff issues last year. So I don't know it can't just be about the knee that's causing the delay in making the decision to pull it back and run or pass or whatnot. Something definitely is off in that sense there. And it can't all just be the knee. I got your Christmas cut. That is right. I did. But you still, yeah, well, because you don't cut your hair this small, this short, you know? I got to look good for vacation. I got to look good for Christmas. How about them Flyers? Do you want me to start watching Flyers games so I can talk about the Flyers and watch the algorithm of this show just drop and burn to pieces? Okay, if I start talking Flyers, you'll be the first person to tell me to stop talking about the Flyers. Two of the worst people to put in front of our media is Nick and Maury. They have no sense of whatsoever on not oversharing. They probably nervously play poker with their hands revealed. I don't know about that. I have no problem with the way Nick Sirianni handles the media. I think he's fair enough normally. This last week or two, obviously some frustrations, but I have no problems. Now, Daryl Morey, on the other hand, that's a different subject. Y'all know my Daryl Morey opinions. The problem with is we step away from the running back too quickly for an RPO to work as effectively. Okay, so that's part of the theory there. But also sometimes they wait too long. Hence the botched handoff to, was it Kenny Gainwell last week or 2 weeks ago, where he pulled it away too late and it got fumbled. Or he tried to put it in Kenny Gainwell's stomach too early or too late and he fumbled and it was lost. So, I think it was 2 games ago, that one. So there's a lot of miscommunication on the RPOs. Hence why probably we're not calling it as often as we used to. The defense will get it together because this group's full of rookies starting and late signing, so offense will wake the F up. See, Travis, I completely disagree with you on that. I have more confidence in the offense waking up and getting it together than the defense. The defense is still, in my opinion, the biggest weakness on our team. And I don't even think there's an argument to be made there. Like, we are at bottom 5 or 6 defense in the NFL right now. We are not executing. We're not performing. We're not tackling. There's a void of talent at multiple positions, not just one or two. And we're not just talking about void of superstar talent. We're talking about talent, period. There's bare minimum at linebacker, at safety. At least one positive that came out of practice yesterday. Reed Blankenship practiced limitedly. He didn't completely clear concussion protocol, but he is trending in the right direction. So we should see him on Monday night playing, which is great because obviously our safety core is weak to begin with. With him, without him, it's non-existent. Without him, Drew Lock or whoever's playing quarterback for the Seahawks is going to throw 400 yards. Jason Peters coming for you. Jason Peters is it's the Sixers game now. Yeah. No, we're not talking Sixers. I mean, we can. We could talk about Tobias Harris if you want, Marshawn. I'm game to talk a little Tobias Harris for sure. Did he sign with the Yankees? I don't think he did sign with the Yankees. He was visiting with the Phillies yesterday. That's what at least I saw. I don't even want to try Yamamoto, Japanese pitching sensation. He was meeting with Phillies branch yesterday from all the reports that I saw. I don't think he's signed anywhere yet. Just the fact that we're taking the meeting is a big deal to me. Maury, hey guys, I'm looking to over trade for a fourth score with all the draft picks. Yeah, I saw Daryl Morey's comments. I did. I don't want him to. He definitely opened his game plan up to the world, saying that he is looking for another big name player. Not something I want to do. Not something I want him to do. Not something I trust him to do. The offensive play calling is so college like. It reminds me of Chip Kelly thinking he can outsmart anything. Well, Travis, funny you say that. Brian Johnson's in his first year as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. The last time he was an offensive coordinator, it was at Florida with Kyle Trask, the University of Florida. So he has been an offensive play caller in college football, and he did it pretty well. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe he hasn't adjusted how to call plays to NFL styles. Flyers are in fuego. They are. The Flyers are surprising. They're the darling of Philly right now. If they keep this going into the new year, people are going to realize. People forgot how much of a Flyers town the city can be. How we get behind the black and gold. Or black and orange, sorry. Black and orange. Orange and black. People forget how much Flyers love that could be in this city. And I'm excited for it. I'm ready to talk Flyers hockey someday. What's your thoughts on the reported meeting with Yamato to the Phillies? I don't know if we signed him. But my thoughts on him going to Philly to talk with the brass just tells me that John Middleton and company in Philadelphia are not content. They're not worried about the money they've already spent. They know that they've got a window and they've got to go all in. Andrew Painter's not going to be back from Tommy John surgery until 2025. Pitching is what killed us in the playoffs this year. They're not content. They're not just running it back. Just signing Aaron Nola wasn't good enough. So that's what it tells me. It doesn't mean we're going to get him. Not sure if we will. We've never been very good at getting the Japanese or Asian, baseball players to come to Philly. Hell, it's hard for anybody not named the New York Yankees to get them to come play on the East Coast. Most of them tend to want to go to West Coast teams or smaller markets. But I just see the meeting taking place as a positive sign for the Phillies that they're not done. Run pass option. What's the option? Disaster. Martian, I get it. Nick be like, hey, NFL, the reason we keep struggling is because y'all keep covering our three players we run our offense through. Yeah. Well, but that goes to the fact that maybe they should start running their offense and being a little bit more, open-minded where the ball goes. Let's see if Quez Watkins has got anything left. Let's see if Zacchaeus can do anything. Let's see if DeAndre Swift or Kenny Gainwell can run a running back screen properly. All things that we don't see enough. I think Eagles need to run more cover 3, single high safety. You have the middle protected and the cornerbacks. I don't know what they got to run, Drew. But I don't know what they got to run. But I don't have confidence in anything that's run defensively with our safeties and our linebackers. I don't. I have zero confidence. I just have a gut feeling when it comes down to defense, will be the toughest at big time moments. We still have Cox, Reddick, et cetera, et cetera. See, the thing is, some of these names you're listing, Shaq Leonard, we haven't really seen much yet of him, and there's a reason why he was available so late. Kevin Byard, he hasn't been fantastic. Reed's been banged up. Sidney Brown is not a perfect player yet. He's still a rookie. Bradbury and Slay are trending downward. So you got a lot of big names, but outside of the line, most of those names are not consistent. Yeah, I know. I don't know what I was thinking there. Picture this, the bank going nuts in anticipation, and suddenly Mr. Roboto blares to the speakers, and the Yamamoto. Yeah. I like it. Did he say, yo mama? I did not say yo mama. but I think there'd be a lot of yo mama jokes made if he does sign with. I don't know if he'll understand them, but there will be a lot. The problem with cover three is it leaves the burnt toast cornerbacks on the outside one on one. Burnt toast. Isn't that what we used to call Izell Jenkins? Was that the guy? There was a guy back during the Buddy Ryan era that had burnt toast as the nickname. I think it was Izell Jenkins. I can't remember who. Last game showed blown coverages on trust issues or overly aggressiveness. Yes, there were trust issues. I don't know if it's the word trust issues. I think it's communication issues, maybe, because a lot of the blown coverages were guys that aren't used to. It wasn't like Slay and Bradbury miscommunicating with each other. It was like Slay and Byard, or it was Robbie and Blankenship or whatnot. It's newer guys that haven't been here since day one miscommunicating, but that still goes back to practice. That still goes back to coaching and Sean Desai. Think the Byard trade didn't work out. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to get back to the comments in a few moments here. Our special guest is joining us here on the I Have No Sponsor Hotline. Coach Dale Carlson. You guys have seen him on the show before. Good morning, Dale. How you doing today?
Phil, I'm doing great. How are you? I mean, it sounds like we got some irate fans in the Philly area for sure.
We do. The Philly fans are not accepting the fact that they've run through a gauntlet of a schedule and are still tied for the best record in the NFL. They think the sky is falling because of the last two losses, and they're looking for people to blame. And I asked you to come on. It's funny. I don't know what it is with December 15th, but you were on the show, not the last time, but also last year on December 15th. So it seems like I need your opinions on this Eagles offense every year on this exact date. And they're pinning their frustrations on Brian Johnson, the Eagles offensive coordinator this year. And I want to get your philosophies and your thoughts on it. I don't know how much you know about what's going on specifically, but there has been a lot of lack of execution on the Eagles offense lately. And the fans are blaming the coordinator for not calling the right types of plays. Me, I'm trying to tell people it's the 3 fumbles on drives inside their opponent's territory, 2 touchdown passes that were clear drops, not bad passes, that it's execution on the player's fault. How do you as a coach differentiate on that situation there?
Well, I think, when you're in the NFL, right? And those other teams are good. Those other coaches are good. And so, every fan wants your team to be, 17-0. But in the realistic part of the NFL, that's just not going to happen. It's just not going to be that way. And you're right. You look at the gauntlet of the schedule that they went against, and I think you have to be realistic. I think you can't put just a 1 game or even 2 games. You have to look at the whole. I mean, they beat the Bills, the Cowboys. Those were teams, the Chiefs, that were in the top 6 in total defense points allowed, and they beat those teams. Now, yeah, they went 1-1 against the Cowboys. I get it, and that's always going to be a bone of contention to lose to the Cowboys. But the Cowboys have been better this year. So they're you have to give Mike McCarthy some credit. He figured some stuff out. They got better. So yeah, what do you look at? As a coach, you're always going to look at the execution of your players. And yes, I mean, if you fumble, and Brian Johnson isn't coaching fumbles and turnovers. So, you've got to look at that, and you've got to hold those guys accountable. And then you're going to look at yourself too as a coach and say, well, could I have done something a little bit different? Could I have called something different? And don't think that they don't go back and self-scout, and they look at all of that. And then they look and say, yeah, okay, yeah, maybe we could have made a better call here. Or sometimes the other guys on the other side just made a little bit more than you did. So there's so much that goes into it. But the Eagles are 10-3. They're still one of the top offensive teams in the league, and that's despite having some injuries. And I think the other part is football is such a team game, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact that there's been injuries on defense, that's affected. Maybe that's affected the play calling a little bit. Maybe the offensive guys are pressing. I don't know. But the point is, 2 games don't make a season. And yeah, the Niners loss was rough. The Niners loss was rough. But they're good. And so, Philly's going to probably get a chance at them again, in the postseason. And so, then you let the chips fall where they may there.
You said something that really like hit something I've been driving home a lot in my conversation about where the opponent's defenses were ranked. As an offensive minded coach, if it's not working, how much do you take into account? Like if you're losing, you start to doubt yourself maybe. But then like when you look at your opponent, do you take that into account? Like, yeah, it might not have worked, but it's not like we were going up against like a Pee Wee League level defense. Like, do you use that as like self reassurance
Yeah,
as a
and
coach?
it's your job as a it's your job as a coach to find a way to beat those guys for sure.
Mhm.
And you're going to put the best plan, try and put the players in the best position that you can based on what they can do, what your offense is, how your offense is set up. I think that yeah, sometimes you've got to give the other guys credit. They did a good job, and I think that's why you don't see, like the Patriots.
Did we lose him there? I think we lost Coach Dale there. I think his screen froze up there. Not sure what happened there. We'll see if we get him back here in the next moment or two.
There we go. Yeah, a little
Yeah.
internet. I think a little internet issues there.
Yes. Sorry
But
about
I think the fact that you're just not going to see people. Yes, I can see teams in the NFL go undefeated anymore. And when you look at the parity in the league, it's one of those things. And I think here's the other thing too to think about too. And I forget which game it was. What game was it when Hurts got knocked out for a while? He came back, but he got knocked out. If he's a little dinged up, and I'm Brian Johnson, and I'm thinking about it, man, I want to win games, but I also want to get to the postseason, and our goal is to get to the Super Bowl. Maybe I'm not going to run him and do some of the things that we've done in the past. And, that's a big part of the Eagles' offense is what he can do. And so
I think we lost him again there. Oh, man. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure what's going on here. We got some internet issues with Coach Dale Carlson there. Uh, give him a second here to see if he gets it back up or not. Yeah, I'm blaming the Russians. The Russians have tapped into his system. Brian Johnson cut the internet. Yeah, absolutely. Brian Johnson's not a fan. Nick wants chunk plays on offense. Yeah, which comment was that from Eric? I believe Nick's scheme, Howie and Lori emphasis on us being a pass only offense, going against our identity and Brian's situational awareness and play calling. I think that, if anything, is where we need to work on, or Brian Johnson needs to work on situational play calling. He jumped off my screen, so he definitely must have had an issue there. We'll see if we get him back or not here in a few minutes. Kind of ruins my show, you know. I don't really have much planned outside of talking to Dale, and he's trying to jump back in. Dale's internet has more drops than AJ Brown and Devontae Smith.
yeah,
We got
I
you back
caught that.
there.
Yeah, it does. This could be my connection here. I don't know.
It's all
It's
good.
modern technology. Modern
Yeah,
technology.
exactly.
So I don't know how far I got in that, but my point is, you're not going to have an undefeated team in the NFL
Right.
anymore. And the Eagles are still a very, very good football team. And when you look at the schedules coming up, the Eagles have 4 very winnable games. I think they got to be careful with the Seahawks because,
Absolutely.
Pete Carroll is just such a great coach, but I mean, they're struggling a little bit. But the next 3 games, it's 2 with the Giants and 1 with the Cardinals. I mean, they've got at least 3 and maybe 4 winnable games. The Cowboys, you know,
You mentioned the RPOs and how that with Jalen Hurts being banged up. How is that as an offensive coordinator when you're trying to play or call plays and devise an offensive game plan when your quarterback runs one style of offense very effectively, but he is banged up. But he's not banged like he at least he's out there. Like, do you kind of just have to roll with what works, whether he's banged up or not, or in your mind is that really putting you at a hindrance there?
well, it does put you in a little bit of a hindrance because you don't. Again, we're thinking long term here,
Mhm.
and we want to get to we want to get deep into the playoffs. We want to get back to the Super Bowl, so we're going to try and protect him a little bit. Now, when a push comes to shove, if we got to run him, we're going to run him. But yeah, that's going to be something you got to think of. So that you can let him use his legs and, make that third part of the offense go. But, I think the other part of it is, you can still RPO people because you still have the handoff option and the ability to pass the ball. You just don't maybe have that third option necessarily with him running. But my guess is as he gets healthier and healthier, they'll be able to use him. And I don't know if I got cut off on the other point, with our internet issues, but I think the schedule for the Eagles is, I mean, they've got 3, if not 4 winnable games. The Cowboys, they might only go 2-2, and then the issue's settled because then Philly wins the division. So, I think the whole thing is that there's a lot of football to be played. There was a couple of bad games. Let's move on to the next one and not worry about what happened in the past.
Yeah, the next thing with the Eagles offense that's been pretty concerning to a lot of fans is just the very vanilla style of offense that they've been running. And whether it's because of the injury to Jalen Hurts or not, what's it like? I mean, like, you think about it, it's a passing league in the NFL. The Eagles are very good at running the football, yet they don't. Because the philosophy of the team is to pass the ball. You got A.J. Brown, you got Devontae Smith. At what point does a coach, because Brian Johnson is calling the plays, but Nick Sirianni, the head coach, is actually devising the game plan and telling Brian Johnson, this is what we should do this week. Does it become frustrating as the coordinator that you've got these weapons to use, but yet, there's a little disconnect maybe between Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson on what needs to be done on any given day?
Well, I think again, what it comes down to is you have to look and see what's the other.
Yeah, we lost him again there. I think we're gonna have to call it. There's glitches in the server software. Yeah, Coach Dale lives in Chicago, so can't be in the same room with Coach Dale. That is for sure. Coach, what do you think the reason why the offense isn't?
Okay, so we're back. So what I was going to say is that yeah, we can run the football in Philly, but if I'm on defense, on the football, so there's what's the other team trying to do to me too, and so maybe that's forcing me to throw the football now. I haven't watched the last couple of weeks. I have because the games haven't been broadcast where I'm at, so I haven't seen them play. But I think that part of it is the other guys are trying to, make sure you can't run the ball. And sure, the NFL is a passing league, but let's face it, if you can't run the ball in cold weather in December and January, you're probably not going to get very far into the playoffs. And so if I'm on defense, I'm trying to stop them from running the football. And the fact that, we got some pass drops out there, maybe I feel like I can defend the guys on the outside. I don't have to worry about Hurts running around and making some things happen. Okay, let's force you to throw the football, see if you can beat us.
Yeah, so Marshawn's asking a question here about, and it's a big question of why we don't use the middle of the field more often. When you're devising an offense and you got weapons like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith that get downfield and make big chunk plays so easily, it is kind of hard to forget that you also have Dallas Goedert, a great tight end and great running backs and slot receivers. At what point as a coach do you realize that sometimes you got to mix it up and maybe over the middle, like, I want to do this. I've got these players that are successful at this, but we can't forget about the other guys. Like, how hard of a decision is that to make?
Yeah, well, I think, if I'm playing the Eagles, I don't want Hurts to beat me with his legs. I want to try and stop the run. And I don't want Dallas Goedert to beat me over the middle of the field. I'm going to take my chances, I think, on the outside. And so we're gonna stack the box and we're gonna play defense inside because I think if you look at even before Goddard with Ertz when he was there, the Eagles were so good, just like the 49ers are with Kittle, just like the Chiefs are with Kelsey, about using the middle of the field. And so if I could take that part of it away, because that's not necessarily the big plays, but those are the drive sustaining plays. And so if I can do that and force Hurts to have to throw and beat us to the outside, Hurts to throw and beat us to the outside, I think that's what I'm going to do. And so as a coach, you can say, well, why aren't we throwing the ball over the middle? Well, that's because they're defending it. Those other guys aren't stupid on the other side. They're going to take those guys away. And so now I've got to try to figure a way to, maybe get a chunk play to A.J. Brown, get a get a possession pass to the outside. And again, that may be what you're doing defensively, because if I'm coaching defense, I got to say I can't take everything away. What do I need to take away? Okay, let's stop the run, and let's make sure that Dallas Goedert doesn't get big first downs against us. Now that's easier said than done. But with Hurts maybe being beat up a little bit, he can't run around as much. Yeah, maybe that makes it a little bit easier for him.
And Marshawn with another great question here for you, and it's something that people think that Jalen Hurts has regressed this year. I don't know how many games you've watched, but is it as much regression, or is it just that his knee is banged up and keeping him from being capable of doing what he does best? Is taking that run game away from him, changing the way he plays, and it's not regression. It's just he can't do what he wants to do.
Well, and I think it's probably a little bit of both. And when I say regression, I think it's that other people are maybe defending the Eagles a little bit different than they have in the past. Obviously, if Hurts can't run around, that's an issue. I mean, if you're the Chiefs, and Mahomes can't run, that puts a big hurt in terms of what they can do on offense. And so, I think there's part of that. And I think, again, the NFL is hard. Defensive guys figure out a way to defend, and then offensive guys, then react to that. But I think about this though, against the Chiefs, I believe the Bills, and the first time they played the Cowboys, weren't the Eagles down at halftime? Am I correct with that?
We were down before these losses. We were down at halftime a lot and made a lot of second half comebacks.
But think about the adjustments that Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni had to make to get the offense in a position to win those games. So, and I think that's just part of the NFL. And the other part of it is too, when you look back and you say, well, there's a regression, there's this or there's that. As you said earlier, the other players got to step it up, and they can't turn the ball over, and you can't fumble in key situations, or you can't miss a block, or you can't miss an assignment up front, or you can't run the wrong route. And I think that stuff happens, and it happens a lot more, I think, than the casual fan, may know. You may think, well, these guys are NFL players. They don't make those mistakes. Well, yes, they do. They make the same mistakes college guys and high school guys do all the time. And unfortunately, it can get really bigly magnified because it's on national TV and et cetera. But I think that's the other part of it is I from what I've seen of Hurts, and I thought he was playing really, really well until his knee got hurt. And I think that slowed him down a little bit. But then what's your option? You going to play your backup quarterback? Well, no, I'm not going to do that.
According to what's his name on NFL Network, said he should bench Jalen Hurts for Marcus Mariota, but that's another whole subject.
Well, that's like listening. I'm a Bears fan. That's like saying, well, we ought to bench Fields. We ought to trade him. We ought to draft Caleb Williams. You guys are so full of whatever. But that's the thing. You know what? Marcus Mariota is a great backup quarterback to have, and he can run a little bit and do some of those things. But he's not your guy. I mean, he's great to have as a backup, and if Hurts can't answer the bell and be on the field, that's a great situation to have. But I wouldn't bench. There's a reason Mariota's bounced from team to team. I wouldn't bench Jalen Hurts for him.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've hit on it a lot. I don't think it's as much of regression, but it's the fact that the amount of top 10 defense that we've faced we played the easiest schedule in the NFL last year, and this year we're playing the hardest schedule. I mean, there was the fact that we're 10-3. If I always tell people, if I would have told you before the season, which I actually did, I had them predicted to be 10-3 at this point of the season. Everybody would have been happy. But now, because of the way they've lost the last two of them, it's got everybody a little shook a little bit.
Well, and I mean, let's face it. What's the word I'm looking for here? The Philadelphia fan base is passionate, right? I mean, it's passionate.
That is the right word, passion.
It's passionate, and I get it. As a fan, you always want to see your team win, and the second Cowboys game notwithstanding, that 49ers loss was tough, and as a coach, you never want to see things like that. But when it happens, you can use it as a learning situation, and especially the two back-to-back losses. It's then now how do they react this week going against the Seahawks? To me, that's going to be a big telltale sign about where the team is, how they're getting the message from the coaches, how they're getting the message from their team leaders in the locker room. I think there's that part is going to be a real telltale sign on Monday night when they play the Seahawks. And I think, if the Eagles come out and they play well and they win, like I said, then you could run the table, going in those last 3 weeks. If there's an issue Monday night, then maybe that's where we can have a little bit more self analysis on the coaching staff by where are we at, and how do we write this thing.
I see a lot of comments about the defense. We'll get to that. I only have so much time with Coach, and I really want to get this other offensive topic in the equation before we worry about the defense. And there's a lot of talk with Brian Johnson, the struggles, and his play calling isn't impressive to the fans. Everybody wants him to have play calling duties, stripped from him. They also all want Frank Reich, who was coaching down in Carolina, who was fired, brought into Philly as a consultant, as an assistant to the assistant, something. And I've been preaching the point that when you're 10-3, you're coming off a Super Bowl, you have Super Bowl aspirations, that at week 14 of the NFL season, making a drastic decision like that in this situation is probably not a smart move. Do you think it's a bad idea to make such a drastic decision? It's not like we're the 5-7 or 8 Chargers or the Raiders. I don't know if you get what I'm getting at. I think it's a bad decision at this point to make any drastic decisions.
You know what, Phil? I think you're right. I mean, you're 10-3. You're in the top 10 in most offensive categories in the NFL. And again, Nick Sirianni is an offensive-minded guy. Yes, he doesn't do the play calling, and I'm not sitting in the meeting, so I don't know this for sure. But of course, he's got some input in there. He's on the headset. They're talking about what's going on when the defense is on the field. I mean, I'm sure it's somewhat of a team effort with everybody on the offensive staff, coming into, finally, Johnson's calling the plays. But you're 10-3. Why am I going to make that change at this point? And Frank Reich, we can go all over on Frank Reich. I was reading some of that stuff this morning about the calls to bring Frank back. But Frank's track record hasn't been all that good the last few years. I'm sorry. Now we could have a whole discussion about what happened in Carolina. In fact, he didn't want the quarterback they drafted and all that. But the point is, we're 10-3. We've got an opportunity to run the table. We could finish 14-3 and win the division. I'm not going to make any changes at that point, because I think when head coaches do that, or GMs say we have to do that, then they're in panic mode, and you don't want to put the team in panic mode. Why do I want to go into the players who have been trying to execute my plans and execute what I'm doing? We're going to make a change because we played a couple of bad games. Somehow I would think, Kelsey would stand up and say, hey, listen, we haven't executed. We got to get our crap together and play a little bit better. I think you would hear that, and that's just my impression looking at who's leading in the Eagles locker room, that they're looking and saying, okay, we all made mistakes, right? We got to right the ship. And so Monday night, we're going to take care of business and we're going to get it done. But I think that's a bad decision, because that's panic.
Yeah, just if you were Brian Johnson, and even if you didn't lose play calling duties, even if the Eagles brought in Frank Reich as an offensive consultant, you as Brian Johnson, wouldn't you be looking over your shoulder the whole time and worried, like, if I make one more mistake, I could be done because this guy's right here, and he was obviously here in Philly, Frank Reich, during our Super Bowl in 2017, so a lot of fans do have a strong connection to him. But that would be probably more of a problem than a positive, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, I think Nick Sirianni is a really smart guy. And I think he's probably looking at some of those reports and reading that stuff and saying, yeah, right. Brian, don't worry about that. We're going to get this thing fixed. And again, Sirianni is a very bright offensive coach. And so he's working with the offensive staff. They're trying to right the thing. I think, again, that's that knee-jerk stuff because we lost a game or two. And in the NFL, you can't knee-jerk, because other teams are good. They're going to win games. The chances that you have a stinker somewhere in 17 games like the 49ers game, is going to happen. And I mean, and let's go back, you said to defense, but, my defense is all beat up and I got to defend Christian McCaffrey. I mean, that's hard,
Yeah.
and I don't have half my guys out there. That's a difficult situation to do. So, I don't think that there's a whole lot going to happen with Frank Reich for sure, and I don't think they're going to take Johnson's play calling, away. And even if internally Sirianni was going to put more input into it, he's not telling the media that, I don't think, because he doesn't want to give that look that we're panicking. Because if you look like you're panicking, then you are, and that's the
Right.
last thing you want to do when you're 10-3.
Absolutely agree with you. Now, on to the defense. The defense is obviously a black hole right now in the middle. We've been banged up with injuries. Our linebackers and safeties. Last week we had 3 guys that were dressed as linebacker. Actually, the last 2 weeks, and they were the 2 big losses. The 3 guys that dressed the last 2 weeks weren't even on the roster, the initial 53-man roster. They were practice squatters and guys we brought in. Our safeties have obviously been a major issue as well. Before you even talk defense, can't the offense maybe help the defense? Shouldn't like Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni be like, all right, we need to change our schemes up a little bit, maybe to help keep our defense off the field a little bit more, to expose them a little bit less. Is that a conversation that's had in an offensive coach's room to an extent?
Sure. Sure it is. Because football is the game where, football is a total team game.
Mm-hmm.
And so each unit, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, plays off each other for sure. Yeah, but it's what I want, what I was talking about earlier. Well, why aren't they using the middle of the field to get Dallas Goedert? Well, maybe because the other guys are defending that part of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we running the ball a little bit more? Well, they're stacking the box, or, they're rolling those safeties down. Now, yeah, you want to take it, then you got to take an action shot or do something to try and get somebody behind it. And then that comes down to, execution, not dropping the ball, not fumbling the football. I'm sure they're having those conversations to try and do that. But again, you got to give the other guys credit because they know that. If I'm the defensive coordinator, if I'm Pete Carroll this week and I know that their offense or the Eagles defense is all beat up, I'm going to make sure they can't run the football to control the clock. I'm going to force them to try and make some deep outside throws. And so I'm going to say those are the low percentage plays that you're going to have to execute to beat us. And so we're going to do our best to take the other stuff away and force you to do that. So yeah, could you, maybe run the clock a little bit and do some of that? Well, that's always up for debate, but you got to find a way to win versus what the defense, your opponent's defense is giving you. And if it's the outside shot down the field and you got to take it, that may be what you have to do. And, coach your defensive guys up also to play better, even if they're backup guys. They're still in the NFL. They're still getting an NFL paycheck. And so they need to also, step their level of play up, as well. But that's a difficult thing when you've got a 50, man roster and guys get hurt, especially at that number. And I think, you just got to look at the Bills Chiefs game from last weekend, and the Chiefs get all these guys beat up and they end up losing a game basically off on an offsides call. That's the NFL. You got to find a way to overcome those things.
Yeah, absolutely. What the big thing that I've brought up a lot about the Eagles' defense, so to say, is that Sean Desai, the defensive coordinator, and he was in Chicago a couple years ago as a defensive coordinator. That terrible 2021 season for the Bears. Is that we talk about how bad Jonathan Gannon was or wasn't last year in the Super Bowl run, but you see him in Arizona now running a different defensive scheme. So last year in Philly, he didn't run what he wanted to. He ran what the personnel he had dictated. It seems like this year, Sean Desai has a scheme in mind, but is not adjusting to the personnel that he has, whether it's backup players, just not high enough quality at certain position, whatever it is. How hard is it as a coach to be like, I want to do this. This is what I think works, but I can't do it. And to change your own philosophies based off of what you got, because it seems like Sean Desai doesn't want to make those changes.
Yeah, and again, part of it too, I think is defensively. You're gonna have an attitude that you're trying to instill in your team, and you want to try and play, with that attitude. But again, I go back to what is the NFL all about, and so unless I have a dominating front four, a total dominating front four, I better be aggressive because I can't just sit back with 2 high safeties and, put my, 7 guys in the box or 6 guys in the box and stop stuff, unless I've got just those studs, up front. And again, you got to go back to the schedule. You're playing better teams, and so if I don't take my shots against the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey and try and make some plays, I'm going to be in trouble if I just sit back and play defense. They're just gonna grind it out and beat me. So I think defense is a little bit different in the NFL than offense is, because you want to dictate to the offense what they're going to do, but in the same breath, you also have to be a little bit more reactionary to the types of players that they have. And so, again, we can point fingers and we can say this and we can say that, but how many close games have the Eagles won? How many times have they come from behind in the second half against really good football teams and were able to win games? It was because the offense stepped it up. It was because the defense got some stops, and they were able to be 10-3. So again, I think it's and I'm a fan. Don't get me wrong. I sit here and I watch the Bears on Sunday and I scream at the TV and I yell at the coaches and I do all that stuff because I'm a fan and I want them to win. But the other part of it is I got to realize, who's out there, who's playing, who are they playing against? What's the caliber of the players that we're facing? And sometimes, I can change the scheme and I can, we're all beat up, so I'm going to try and protect everybody, and we're going to play 2 high safeties, we're going to play cover 2, and we're going to sit back there and we're just going to get gashed in the run game, and so it's not going to matter anyway. So, at the end of the day, you got to step up and you got to go make plays. And I've never been an NFL coach. But I know at times when we were beat up defensively, I would tell our offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, just get after them and let's try and force them to have to make some big plays to beat us. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. The point was we were gonna take the game to them and then just roll the dice and see what happens.
It's funny because the way everything you're saying it sounds like what Eagles fans want. Like they want more blitz and getting after the quarterback and whatnot. It's funny though. The numbers after the San Francisco game were that when the Eagles blitzed, they got gashed. And when they didn't blitz, Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense stalled at times. And it went the complete opposite way. Is it that it just happened? You know what I mean? If your cornerbacks, Marshawn asking about our cornerbacks and stuff like that, if you blitz and you don't get home, you leave exposed some of those weaker people in the secondary, in the back end of the defense. But is it kind of just a risk you have to take to get them off the field?
I think it is, but I think it's also one of those things, again, in the NFL. If I do a steady diet every time and I don't have the guys on the outside to cover, that's going to be an issue, because those guys standing back there catching the football in the NFL, and I don't care whether it's the Commanders or whether it's the 49ers or whether it's, the Chiefs, whoever, they're going to make some plays if that's all you do. And so when I said, to be aggressive and to do those things, I think you need to do that, but you can't just do it every play. And you want to look back at the statistics, say, well, we blitzed them. We actually got home. We made some plays. When we played soft, we got gashed. Or we didn't get gashed. We actually were able to plays. That's not going to always be the case week in and week out. It's just one of those things that as a fan, you have to remember the other guys are good. And so, we're trying to every week find a way to get ourselves one more point than the other team has. And so we can get out with a win. And again, injuries, fumbles on the offense, maybe a special teams play didn't get made. And I think a thing that I always appreciated this quote. This was Bill Parcells, and Parcells said there's going to be 5 to 7, 8 plays that are going to make a difference in a game. And he said they're not always going to be the big chunk play that you see. It's going to be a first down here. It's going to be a special teams tackle there. And when you have teams like the Cowboys and the 49ers playing against the Eagles, they're high-level, great football teams. That missed special teams tackle, that, defensive lineman went the wrong gap. While maybe that didn't show up as a 50-yard play or a touchdown, that may have been a play that moved something right there. And I think that's the margin of error in the NFL that you're playing with, especially when the good teams play. And so you have to make those plays. And sometimes it just comes down to that, And I think the other part of it is too, and I mentioned this before, a crappy game somewhere in 17. And yeah, the 49ers game was crappy. And the bad thing is they followed it up with a loss to the Cowboys, which, I mean, if I'm in Philly, I hate the Cowboys. So, I hate to see that happen. But you got to let the string play out because there's 4 more games. That's why they play 17.
Gotcha. So one final thing that I want to bring up, and you mentioned earlier about Jason Kelsey, expecting him to stand up and say something. I don't even remember what that was in reference to, but obviously after these 2 losses, you saw on Monday, I don't remember which national reporter, but somebody got a leaked information that somebody was unhappy, and maybe the locker room starts to fracture. As a coach, are you giving your leaders, say with the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, Kelsey, whoever, the chance to step up first and be the leader, or are you pulling Jalen Hurts or whoever aside and be like, "Yo, there's some fracture starting because of it. I need you to step in." Are you giving them the chance to do it first, or are you going to them and giving them that little nudge? Yo, the players need to get band together and not let 2 losses fracture this team.
If it's my way of thinking, and from what I've seen and read, because I'm not in that locker room, I have no
Right.
idea. But my guess is, yeah, probably somebody said something and it got leaked. I would think that those leaders on that team, went in and said, this stuff is in-house. We don't need to be talking to reporters about it. We're all grown men here. We know what it takes to win. And so go and do your job and let's go get it done. And I don't think, here's the thing is, I don't think you win those close games against the Chiefs, against Buffalo. I don't think you get that first win against Dallas. I mean, all of that stuff, I don't think that happens unless you've got strong, team leaders. And, I don't go, way back, whether you love Bill Belichick, you don't, whatever, yeah, he wrote Tom Brady's coach or whatever. Anybody that was with the Patriots will say this, that, all those guys from Teddy Bruschi to, Grable to, all those guys that were in that, they took care of all the crap. And if you didn't do what they wanted, they went to Bill and said, we got to get rid of this clown. And that's what happened. And I think to Mike's, what I know about the Eagles, when I know about those guys like Kelsey and Hurts, they're strong leaders and they're gonna do everything in their power, to keep the team going. So I would think that Kelsey went and said, whoever that was that was credited with the leak said, well, listen, we got a lot of football to go.
The way this week has played out, it turns out Jalen Hurts and Brandon Graham from the defense were the 2 leaders that stepped up during one of the workout sessions and dressed the team down and talked to them all about all the things and stuff like that. And then Nick Sirianni, with the Monday Night Football game, normally we practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but with Monday night, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week. Normally they only do padded practices once, the middle practice of the week. Nick Sirianni's message to the team was simply, we're going to practice in pads all week, and they practiced in pads yesterday, and they're going to do it today and tomorrow. As a team, if your coach has a set system and all of a sudden says, nope, we're padding up an extra time or 2 this week, doesn't that just send the message of what the coach is thinking anyway?
Absolutely, absolutely it does. And I mean, he's saying, listen, we've been through a couple of wars here. We're playing a good, dangerous football team on Monday night. I'm going to make sure that you're fully prepared to go and do that. So yeah, we're going to put the pads on this week, fellas, and we're going to be a little bit more physical because we got to take that into Monday night, because I know the Seahawks are going to be physical, regardless whether they're going to execute or not. Pete Carroll's teams are always physical, and so we're gonna do that. And they're dangerous because he's lost for the first time in his career, some games in a row. So we better be ready to go against these guys because we're not going to lose 3 games in a row. So I think he's sending the message that way. The players in the locker room are sending the message the other way, and they're saying, listen, we got 4 weeks to go. We want to win the division. We want to put ourselves in a position to maybe have a bye game, whatever they're saying. But they're saying we got a chance to run the table, and it starts Monday night.
I like that. You mentioned it. I know I got to get you out of here. I promised you about 30 minutes max. But You mentioned the parity in the NFL or the lack of it, that everybody's pretty much average. There's a lot of average teams. As a football fan, as a football coach, as a guy that's been around football a long time, do you enjoy seeing the NFL? This is off the topic of the Eagles. Do you enjoy seeing everybody average like that and all bunched together, or do you want to see teams dominate and take the reins of who are the best teams in the NFL? Because I think right now only one team, and we're into week 15. I only think one team is officially eliminated from playoff contention at this point.
Yeah, and I think again, as a fan of my own team, I mean, who'd have thunk, a few weeks ago that the Bears might have a chance to get into the playoffs, and now all of a
Exactly.
sudden they've gone 5-4 over the last 9 games,
Hmm.
and they've got a schedule where they could run the table
Right.
potentially, and they might get into the playoffs. So I think by having an opportunity where you got a couple of really bad teams, Arizona. Of course, I say that, and the Bears have to play them as the Eagles have to. I say that, and maybe I'm not jinxing both of our teams, but or Carolina, whatever. You've got some teams that are
Mhm.
struggling, but yet, to be able to go into the last month of the season and have a lot of teams still alive for the playoffs, I think is a really good thing. And just like I think to some extent, just like Major League Baseball, you've got some of the high spending teams, the Yankees and the Dodgers, who they weren't in the World Series this year, right? And you have the lowly, I say lowly Arizona Diamondbacks that made it all the way to the World Series this year. I mean, to me, that's from a fan
Yeah.
standpoint, that's exciting because
Right.
that shows you that most, not all, but most of the teams have a chance
Hmm.
to get. If I can get to the playoffs, I have a chance, and I think
Right.
that makes it more exciting than there's 5 or 6 teams, three from each conference that are going to dominate, and my teams, it's like watching the Chicago Bears in the '70s. I mean, they're not going to go anyplace or do anything. So that wasn't a lot of fun. Believe me, it's more fun knowing that your team has a chance.
All right, we're gonna get you out of here, Coach. One final thing here. There's a constant battle on this show amongst the commenters on which Godfather rank the three Godfather movies. I think Godfather 2 is the best Godfather movie. I get crushed in the comments, so everyone tells me they think I like Godfather 3 the best. But tell everybody that Godfather 3 is the worst and that Godfather 2 is the best. Tell them.
God, you know what? Godfather 3 doesn't even make a ranking. It was so bad. I couldn't even watch it all the way through. I mean, I started to watch that movie 2 or 3 times, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is awful. I don't know what Al Pacino made off of that, but it was terrible. I think 2 is the best because it gives the backstory of the family. It gives the backstory and it gives the forward story. And I think one was still obviously one was a tremendous movie,
Absolutely.
but two because it gives the backstory and how especially De Niro playing a young Vito Corleone, I think was awesome. And then when you also if you get on YouTube and you look at some of the deleted scenes from that they took out, again about how Vito and Clemenza and I can't think of the other lieutenant that was in there that was a part of it. It's a shame they deleted those scenes. They probably had to because the movie would have gone 10 hours. But it was kind of interesting how he wove some of that storyline in too. So if you don't think Godfather 2 was the best, I think you also have to look at some of those other scenes from that they deleted to kind of see how the story of them. But I'm with you, Phil. I think 2 is the
I
best.
like it. I like
One
it.
is there, and there really is no third because that movie stunk.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dale, for your time today. I want to wish you a very happy holidays, a happy New Year. Good luck to the Bears. I doubt they make the run, but you never know. But I
You
appreciate you
never
and I
know.
appreciate your time, my man.
Never know. Hey, Phil, it's always great talking football with you and talking about the Eagles and the NFL. And anytime, I'll come on anytime and talk some football with you. Thanks a lot.
Definitely.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays and happy New Year to you, Dale.
Thanks.
All right, that was Coach Dale Carlson right there on the I Have No Sponsor hotline. As always, lots of great content, lots of great information from him. There are a lot of comments. I tried to see them. I tried to read them as much as I could. Very hard to put them all up on the screen with the coach there. But real quick, you're watching Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube. You know the drill. I think we're at 14 likes on YouTube, 7 on Facebook. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. I greatly, greatly appreciate each and every one of you doing that for me. Yes, we had to get right into the reset. You know what I mean? After Coach left, I took up far too much of his time. But I always enjoy talking to Coach, and you know, Coach Carlson being an outsider, but an outsider in the sense where he's a Bears fan, not an Eagles fan. But being a guy that's been coaching football for over 40 years, and's been under some great names. Like, I mean, he's worked under Tommy Tuberville and some other great coaches around, college football and semi-pro football. It's always interesting for him to come on and give his perspective. But I think the one key thing that I took out of his whole thing, there was a lot of great stuff that he said there, but the one key thing I took about it is the fact that what I've been trying to say, it's relax. Take a deep breath, Eagles fans. Yeah, we got smoked 2 weeks in a row by the Cowboys and the 49ers, but the schedule sets up for us perfectly to get back on track this week, get back on track the rest of the season, and still finish where we expected this team to finish. Where do you meet these coaches? Actually, Coach Dale Carlson I met through uh, uh, I forget their name. Buddy Walters, his talent agent. So Buddy Walters. He's the nephew of Buddy Ryan, and he's the cousin of Rex and Rob Ryan. He's a friend of mine. He runs an agency for football players, helps them get jobs and stuff like that, um, player reps and stuff like that. And Coach Carlson is one of the reps, but he's repped by this company, and I've met him. I've met Coach Gabe Martinez through there. I've used to have some of their players that they represent on the show to talk football as well. I got to get back in. I got to hit up Buddy Walters a little bit and make sure I get that, those guests back on this show, get some more players on the show as well. But it's a lot of fun because, like I said, he's an outsider. He's not an Eagles fan. He's going to tell us the way he sees it. But he's also smart enough to know, and he watches some of these Eagles games, and he just watches so much football that it's not like he's just blindly talking about the Eagles. He knows what's going on. And we just need to relax. We just need to breathe. We need to just realize that this week in Seattle, well, next week specifically, um, all we got to do is come out and have a great game against Seattle, and all is right in the world again. I spent a lot of time talking to the coaches. Dude, the coaches just cut me. I didn't even get to make the bench. Just think about Happy Gilmore at the beginning of the movie when he goes, "Coach, you didn't call my name." Oh, Gilmore. Yeah, of course we did. Like that was basically me. Thank you, Adam. I greatly appreciate it. You didn't have to do that, but thank you very much. Much appreciated there. Um, always. Yeah, gotta know them. Look, I love talking to the coaches. You learn a lot holding the clipboard. That's right. That's why backups make the best coaches. Adam is the MVP today, without a shadow of a doubt. So thank you very much, Adam. Greatly appreciate it. Um, but if anybody else took anything, and if anybody had a comment or a question that I didn't get to specifically that they want me to touch on here in the final 20 minutes or so of the show, please put them in the comment section. I would gladly answer them. I know there were even some new names in here that I don't even recognize that were commenting during the interview, and I apologize for missing some of these comments. I saw Lucio was talking. My Cowboys guy was there. There was another name that was commenting a lot during the interview there, and now I can't find him in the chat. But there were a couple people, a couple good comments that I would love to get back to, but it's just so hard to find one or two through 80 missed messages there. Marshawn, he should be thrown out of the link like Uncle Phil threw Chaz out of the house. Yeah. Um, Adam is the man. I love Adam. Adam's been a good supporter and a good friend for a long time. Is it really great to talk with you, Philip? So you think maybe you can go in, Phil? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was wondering what the heck Matt Patricia is doing. I saw that, and yeah, I don't know if Matt Patricia is doing anything. We haven't heard his name. We haven't heard anybody calling for any help for Sean Desai. And I did see a lot of comments and questions and concerns with the defense. Finally, which is what I like to see because I do want to see some changes made to the defense. I don't know how you make the changes, considering there's no more talent coming in. Sean Desai's got to sit down, and maybe Matt Patricia could help Sean Desai a little bit more in figuring out what needs to be done. He was a terrible head coach, Matt Patricia, but he wasn't a bad defensive coordinator under Bill Belichick. So maybe it's on Matt Patricia to help out a little bit. Asking the Birds to win on Monday is a tough ask. And you know what? There are a lot of Eagles fans that thinks it's a cakewalk. It's not, based off of the way we've been playing. But I have to have faith and confidence in my leaders, in Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, that they're going to get these guys back on track. The padded practice yesterday is step one in explaining to your team that this is a serious situation. That's it. Phil gypped on value. Dude, again, there ain't no value. I give you guys what I can give you. I get very offended by that. I give you what I can give you. I give you my blood, sweat, heart, and tears every morning on the show. Real quick, let's take a look at this week's schedule. Not just Sunday slate, the Saturday slate. Obviously, the Raiders smoked the Chargers last night, 63-21. Everybody saw it. We had a 3-0 game on Sunday, and then a 63-21 game on Thursday night. That's insanity. But we got 3 games. We got a triple header on Saturday, and I love it. I'm all for Saturday football. It's going to be on at the pizza shop. If anybody is in Kennett Square area, I'll have football on all Saturday. Fox's Pizza in Kennett Square. Come out, have a slice, have a whole pie, have a cheesesteak, whatever you want. Watch a little football with me. I'll have fun with that if you guys want to come on out. But there's a triple header, and they're all really good games with teams vying for playoff spots and positioning. You got the Vikings versus the Bears, the Vikings versus the Bengals. The Bengals are 3-point favorites, 3.5-point favorites, and I'm going to take the Bengals and the points in that game at home. We got the Colts at home against the Steelers. Colts are 1.5-point favorites. I still don't know what the Steelers are as a team, and I'm going to take the Colts and the points because I think that Mike Tomlin's career is coming to an end. I know everybody's talking about Bill Belichick being done and the rumors there, but I think actually Mike Tomlin might be done at the end of this year. Then the night game on Saturday is Broncos going to Detroit. I want to say Detroit minus 4.5, but every time I bet the Lions, they lose. So I'm going to take the Broncos plus the 4.5 points. I don't know what to think about those pesky Lions anymore. If he has to explain the magnitude of the situation, then he's already lost the team. It's not explaining the magnitude. It's reminding them. It's reinforcing the magnitude of the situation that they are in right now. Just making a statement like that really, kind of just shows something. 28-14 Seahawks. Prove me wrong. You got the Seahawks beating the Eagles by 2 touchdowns. Day today. Rough day on the show today. I'm back on the screen. I don't know why my internet's lagging so bad. My internet never lags. Let's see what's on my phone here. Am I connected? My phone's connected on the Wi-Fi. There we go. We're back to full strength again here. I love to stuff my face with pizza. Well, come stuff your face with pizza at Fox's Pizza on Saturday. Jake Browning tearing it up in Cincy. Yes, we didn't lose. You didn't lose me. I was there. Some reason there was a little lag in the Wi-Fi, which I got really strong Wi-Fi. I don't think you guys ever see lag in my Wi-Fi. Yeah. Marshawn broke the stream with that pick. Yeah, he did. It was that pick that just ruined everything. It was that pick. All right, back to the games this weekend. We got Coach Dale Carlson's Bears, who are still alive, going to Cleveland, who's 3-point favorites. Just for Coach Dale Carlson, I'll pick the Bears plus the 3.5 or plus the 3 points. Why not? We'll do that for Coach Dale Carlson. But again, 2 teams vying for playoff position. Bucks Packers, 2 teams vying for playoff position. Packers at home, we're going to take the Packers and the points, minus 3.5. Texans at Titans, 2 teams battling for playoff position. Tennessee's 3-point favorites. I would pick Tennessee if C.J. Stroud's not playing. If C.J. Stroud plays, then I switch that. Jets and Dolphins, 2 teams fighting for position. Dolphins are 9.5-point favorites. I'm taking the Jets plus 9.5. Then you got the Chiefs versus the Patriots. Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites. I'll take the Chiefs in that. They got to fix their stuff up there for sure. Eric saying 20. We'll get to predictions on Monday. That's the privilege of this being a Monday night game. We'll make predictions on Monday when we dive into it. I have the Birds beating the Seahawks. The Birds beating the Birds by 2. Man, easy 2-touchdown win. 27-24. And you guys are getting into the predictions far too early. Far too early. Then we got Giants at Saints. Saints are 6-point favorites. DeVito. Does the magic wear off on Tommy DeVito? Probably. Saints win that game. Panthers are home versus the Falcons. Falcons win that game. Then we get into the 4 o'clock games. Washington at Rams. I got the Rams covering the 6.5 points there. I like the Rams this year. I do. 49ers at Cardinals. 49ers are 12-point favorites. I'm going to take the Cardinals to cover the 12 points. I am. I'm stupid, but I am. Then we got the game of the week between Lucio's Cowboys and Mad Chatter's Buffalo Bills. Bills are 2-point favorites. Wow, the Bills are 2-point favorites in that game. That's crazy. Taking the Jets as 9-point underdogs is a smart bet. It is. Taking the Jets to cover. I'm not saying the Jets will win. I'm saying the Jets will cover. Division rival game. I'm telling you, Jets will cover that. Phil won the toss and deferred to Monday. That's right. I'm deferring my selections till Monday. Never bet the Jets are the 11th commandment. No, right now it's never bet the Lions is my current 11th commandment because I think I've bet them 3 times this year and they've gotten smoked every time. So that's that. So I think the Bills do beat the Cowboys, knock the Cowboys down. I'll take that. Then Sunday night, Ravens. Like the Ravens Jaguars is another amazing game. The Ravens are 3-point favorites. I actually think the Jags win that game. I do. Outright. There are a lot of really good football games on Saturday and Sunday. And it's great that the Eagles don't play because we can watch all football all weekend and really just focus. Yeah, I like the Rams. Cowboys 35-24 over the Bills. Somebody's going to win 35-24. Bills or Cowboys. But I like that score prediction there for sure. Bills 36-23. I see a double-digit victory for someone. I'm picking the Bills, but it could go to the Cowboys. I hope it's the Bills for us. Marshawn troll mode on now. Yeah, exactly. Benedict Marshawn. Make us proud, TMC. That's right. We need Bill. We need to root for Bills Mafia extra strong this week. Helps in the division. Helps gives us a breathing room if we lose to the Seattle Seahawks. For sure. It definitely does. But there is a really strong slate of games this week. And it's about time because we've had some really bad football games the last couple of weeks in general across the NFL. And with the Eagles never playing at 1 or 4, we have to watch all the rest of the stuff. So we've gotten to watch a lot of really bad football lately. This week, we get to switch it over and have some really good games. Really good games. Benedict Marshawn is a really, really good name. I just need a huge game from Cook for my fantasy playoffs. Well, I'm in the playoffs, obviously in the PSN, Philadelphia Sports Network playoff fantasy football 14 team keeper league. And I squeaked in. I had a win last week. Got it. And then in the PSN fantasy football group chat, I'm going up against Sixers and Eagles writer Zach Chavalella this week. He's got a great team. And they're already talking in the group chat before the week started about how Zach's going to be playing the one guy that had a bye next week. Like, whoa. Jumping the gun, just assuming Zach's going to beat me. And yes, Zach's team was favored 60-40 to beat me this week, but he also had Austin Eckler, who put up 7 points last night. So now I'm kind of trending in the right direction there. I'm going to shock PSN and win this fantasy football draft. Even though I was in sell mode and traded so many players for future draft picks. I got 2 first-round picks, 2 third-round picks, 2 fourth-round picks next year. Even though I did that, I still backdoored my way into the playoffs. Niners will win by 3 touchdowns over the Cardinals. I don't know. I think eventually they got to have a letdown. Mahomes still seething. Yeah, I think the Chiefs win, but I would love to see the Chiefs blow up even more. Mad chatter. Just because of the way he overreacted to the refs at the end of the game, diva mentality. I have a Bills fitted. Might be time to dust it off. I think I've got some Bills stuff. I did at least at one point. Mahomes with Kermit the voiceovers are priceless. I love the Kermit the Frog voice of Patrick Mahomes. That is my favorite part of him. Shock the world, Phil. Who's shocking the world? Philip got more picks than the process Sixers. Dude, I did. I literally traded away Ceedee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, Mark Andrews. Who else did I trade away? Bijan Robinson. I literally traded away half of my starting team. Mike Evans, I traded away for future draft picks. Yet then all of a sudden I started winning. I also picked up multiple players that I now have the choice of four. I can keep two guys for next year. I've got a lot of tough choices because you lose draft picks for keeping them. Tua, I could keep. I traded Dak Prescott. I got a future pick and Tua. So I could keep Tua. It only cost me a 6th-round pick. I got Rashad White, Bucks running back. He'll cost me a 4th-round pick. I got Joe Mixon. That would cost me a 1st. I probably won't do it. I got the new wide receiver Rice from Kansas City. That'll cost me an 8th-round pick. I don't know. I got a lot of tough choices to keep on this team for next year. It's going to be really interesting. It'll determine where my 1st-round picks are, who I keep and who I don't keep. New era caps are fire. Shoot, dude, how are you in the playoffs trading your studs? I'm a smart fantasy football player. I know the value of players. I did not think I was going to make the playoffs. I won't lie to you, K1. I did not think I was making the playoffs. So I was already in sell mode and planning for next year. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, crap. Playoffs are here, and I'm in it. So, yeah, I'm Phil Hinkie, Phil Roseman. I'm all of the above. Phil Belichick. We didn't touch on that. We got 8 minutes left. What's going on in New England? I know this is an Eagles show. This is a Philadelphia sports show. This is a Philadelphia sports network. Well, it's called Philadelphia Sports Network. But the rumors are circulating really heavy this week that the Patriots and their ownership have already told Bill Belichick that he is gone at the end of the season. And it's got to be, that puts Bill Belichick in a tough spot. 4 weeks left in the season to make decisions, to do things. Why don't they just fire him now? Let an interim, play some of the young guys. I don't know, whatever. But is it time for Bill Belichick? Is it time for Mike Tomlin? Is it time for some of these veteran coaches that have been around a long time to move on, to take a break? I think Bill Belichick probably not only gets pushed on, but I don't think I think it's like, 74, 75. He might just be done for his career. But Mike Tomlin, he'll probably, if he wants to get another job somewhere down the line. Is it the right move for the Patriots to move on and the Steelers to move on from legendary coaches? You guys are just coming up with every combo of names for me, possibly. I am not. Do never compare me to Daryl Morey. Don't you dare compare me to Daryl Morey. Never. Let's go, Bills. That's right. We are all Bills fans on Sunday, for sure. Filton Brand, don't you dare call me to the man. You guys are so into these nicknames, man. So into them. And I love you for it. I love each and every one of you for it. I do. I have no hate towards each and every one of you. I love you all. The Cowboys fans even. I even love my Cowboys fans that comment on the show. 49ers fans are a little annoying outside of Gammon, but that's it. Yeah. Philip A. Smith. I am not that. Next thing you know, you're going to call me Phil Cilio or Phil Bayless. That would be insulting. Oh, my God. As I'm saying it, somebody's typing it. Oh, my God. Don't you dare. Marshawn, that is borderline get yourself muted and put in timeout mode. Hold on. How do I do timeout mode here? I know there's a way to do timeout mode here. I just not sure how. Hold on. Yeah. Put user in timeout. Should I put Marshawn in timeout for calling me Bayless? Yeah, exactly. K1. Is that the first? Is that the reason for me to put someone in timeout for the first time ever? Phil took it all the way down to the top. Yeah. Yeah, you went there. And now you literally, if any of my employees, which my employees never watch, if any of my employees are watching this show right now, I tell them always to put it on at school, have all their high school friends start watching. If there's anybody from my employees watching, watch out today. I got called Skip Bayless. I am in a pissed off mood now, and I will never, ever forgive anybody for that. Bill Belichick is older than dirt. When God made Adam and Eve, he took Bill with you. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's done. I think his career's done. I doubt another team gives him an opportunity. I think his philosophies, he's just past his prime in that sense. It's a shame. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time. Yeah, you want to have the conversation about him or Brady, who was more important. whatever. But he's still, you can't take away his accomplishments from him. One of the greats of all time. But I don't think he's evolved enough. I mean, Andy Reid got lucky. He needed to move on and moved on and got Patrick Mahomes. But Bill Belichick made a mistake with Mac Jones. Didn't pull the trigger quick enough or pulled the trigger too quick on putting him in there to begin with. The Mac Jones debacle basically is what ends Bill Belichick's career, and it's a shame. Philly Butler, you know I love my Jimmy Butler. Emergency Core 12 meeting in session. I know. Should he be timed out, Marshawn, for his comments? Phil B. Bryant. I do have a little Mamba mentality in me, Eric. I do. That's how I get up every morning and do this show. Even when I don't want to wake up, I think, what would Kobe do? Bill went to school with Julius Caesar. I think he was at the Last Supper as well, possibly. Like, I don't think he's actually that old. I think he's only. I don't even know if he's the oldest coach in the NFL. Let's Google this. Oldest NFL coaches. Pete Carroll. Hold on. Oh, this can't be accurate. This says that Bill. No, it's from It says Bill Belichick's only 69. Now this can't be accurate because it's still got Bruce Arians listed as Buccaneers coach and David Culley as Texans coach. So that's an old article, but it does say that Pete Carroll is older than Bill Belichick by a year. So yeah, so Pete Carroll is older. So I had to do a quick Google search on that. There, didn't see your comment come in. Bill saw Wilt play live in black. Bill was live in attendance at the 100-point, game from Wilt Chamberlain. That would be my guess. That is. Man, my coffee cup is a mess. So I was out of coffee creamer this morning. Actually made a good cup of coffee, but was out of it. So I didn't have any creamer to put in it. So I took a scoop of ice cream. I had some chocolate pretzel Talenti ice cream, and I put a scoop of that in there. Fantastic. Good morning, Phil. See now. So we go from calling me Skip Bayless from Marshawn to Chuck, who's now my new best friend, calling me Phil Callis, comparing me to Harry Callis. I am the voice of Philadelphia. Harry Callis was the voice of Phillies fans. I am the voice of Philly sports in the morning. Not Angelo, not anybody else. Me, this guy right here. I am the true voice. Bill Belichick is 71, was born in 52. Yeah. Philly Wonka. I'm not really a Willy Wonka fan. Phil Joyner. I've actually come around on Seth Joyner because he's actually been pretty accurate lately. Guys, we're coming into the final couple minutes of the show here. We've only got 17 likes on the YouTube video, 7 on Facebook. Pound that like button. Pound that share button. Wilt Chamberlain used Bill's sharp. was Bill Belichick using the cutoff sweatshirt even back during Wilt's game? I need a picture of Bill Belichick in his cutoff at Wilt's game. Someone that's a good photo editor. Make me some Bill Belichick photo edits and send them to me. We can have a little fun with that. Excuse me. For sure. Anyway, guys, we're going to start this wrap-up process. Man. Boy. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Trending in the AM right here. Phil Jones. I am not Lucio, you want to get put in the timeout with Marshawn? Call me Jerry Jones one more time. One more time. I double dog dare you to do that. Bill was on the grassy knoll. You had to take it. You had to take it a little too far, K1. Just a little too far. Always too far. I saw some taking it too far in the comments during the Dale Carlson. I want to give a special shout out here at the end of the show to Coach Dale Carlson again. Fantastic. Always have him on. Again, like I said, really funny. I've had him on 4 times in 2 years, but 2 of those times were both on December 15th. Really odd the way that lined up like that. But shout out to him. Make sure you shoot him a follow at Dale Carlson on social media and stuff. Great guy, great coach. I appreciate his time and his insight. Bill made the horseshoes for George Washington Speed. No, that's not funny. Don't call me Jerry Jones. Don't. Bill Bayless really struck a nerve. It did. He is literally one of my least favorite people in media and sports. Literally. If I had to have a least liked power ranking of personality, Skip Bayless might be number 1. In fact, I'm writing down Skip Bayless power ranking. I'm going to work on this weekend, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, my power rankings of the most least coaches, players, media personnel, everything. The whole kit and caboodle. I could throw James Harden on there or Ben Simmons. I could throw, Donovan McNabb on there. I could throw Skip Bayless. I could throw Andy Reid, whoever. Coaches, players, media personality, everything. Owners. I'm going to do my most least liked sports personality top 10 list. I'll have it for you guys on Monday. Guaranteed. Oh, my God. Stop. Taking this so far. So far. Crowd noise at Seattle Monday night cause for concern. We're trying to wrap this show up. Bring this question Monday. But yes, it is definitely a concern. We already have trouble with the silent count as is. So we're going to have more of the silent count, which is a problem. So we'll touch on this on Monday. Marshawn narrowly escaped the gallows. Narrowly. But we got to wrap this up. Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Like, share, subscribe, follow. Back next week. Christmas week is next week. I love it. We're going to give out Christmas presents all week long. No, we're not. Everybody have a great day. Everybody have a great weekend. I am Phil Stiefel. This is Trending in the AM. We will talk next week. Go Birds, and actually go Bills as well. So we'll see you guys next week.